Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm bringing you guys an update to my Spright Evil Twin deck profile post ban list for the October 2022 list. So we just got the new list yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that I was one of the first profiles to get uploaded for this. I also put up a hero build already, so if you guys are interested in playing extra copies of Fusion Destiny, make sure to go ahead and check out that profile. But for today, we are running the Spright Evil Twin deck. No longer playing the Toad in this build. This is a build that focuses centrally around playing like a good chunk of hand traps, as well as Crossout Designator to make sure that our plays go through and whatnot, and possibly to be able to stun the mirror match. But we maybe won't be seeing too much of the mirror match anymore because I feel like a lot of people are going to be on tier nowadays. So this deck is actually pretty geared towards taking down tiers. But if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I would really appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video, and check out the Patreon if you guys want to help to support the channel. I would really appreciate that as well. So anyways, getting on into the profile, we have our 3 copies of Spright Blue. This is obviously going to stay here. Spright Blue gets you into searching a monster. Then we have our 3 Jet. Jet is going to be able to search you for a spell or trap. 1 copy of Red. I was possibly going to be playing 2 copies just in case if you ended up hitting your opponent's Spright Red with Crossout Designator, but like I said, you probably won't be going into the mirror match too often. So I did think that it was okay to just sort of keep this at 1. And if you were in the potential mirror match and you had to use Crossout on a Red, then it would just be fine. You're just going to be banishing a Red from your deck, and then you're just not going to have it anymore. 1 copy of Carrot, and then the 1 copy of Pixies still in the deck, especially since we're losing the Totally Awesome. Just having the Pixies in here as an extra way to get more damage, because we're going to be doing a little bit less XZ and Link summoning now. So that means that we want to have the Pixies there so we can make sure to get that damage in when we need it. And then getting on into the Live Twin engine, we are playing pretty similar build to what I had previously. We have the 2 copies of the Leela, 2 copies of the Kiss-a-Kill, 1 copy of the Kiss-a-Kill Frost, and then 1 copy of the Treat. So the reason why you want to be able to play the Treat in here is especially because a lot of people are kind of cutting this. The reason why you would want to play it, especially in this build, I had it in my previous build as well, where I was playing the Frog package, but now that you're just basically focusing on the 2 engines, you definitely want to be able to play the Treat. It's just going to help you to be able to make sure that you always have the extender that you need in case you get disrupted. So if your Kiss-a-Kill gets summoned and then you get hit by Effect Veiler or something, then you can always try to search for the Leela Treat, or if you already have it in your hand, that's awesome. And we have tons of ways to search it, which we'll get to in a little bit later. DD Crow, getting on into the hand traps, 1 copy of Ash. Like I said, we're playing Crossout Designator, so I'm playing really weird ratios, just playing like 1 copy of each hand trap. But it also really helps to make sure that you don't brick with this deck, because this deck just cannot afford to brick anymore. And so, like, you know, if you're drawing 1 Crow, like, you're not going to be drawing into, like, 2 Ashes or anything. So we got the 1 copy of Ghost Spell, 1 copy of our Droll and Lockbird. I feel like Droll is going to be nice in here, especially because Drytron might be seeing a little bit of extra play, so he is pretty darn nice to have as a weapon. Then we have our 1 copy of the Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre really doesn't hurt this deck too much, so it's not much of a Crossout Designator target. But like I said, I think Tier Element is going to be a really heavily played this format, so I want to have this as a way to get around the field spell. So if my opponent activates that during their turn, I always have the Ghost Ogre in hand, hopefully, to be able to stop that. We got 1 copy of Effect Veiler, and now coming back into the deck, we do have the artifact Scythe. Scythe actually does not hurt this deck too hard anymore, because if you did ended up getting hit by Scythe, you can still put your Red and your Carrot onto the field. However, it is still just going to hurt you a little bit not to be able to summon from the extra deck. But like I'm saying, like, we have a whole bunch of hand traps and other disruption in the deck, like Forbidden Droplet and Imperm. So if your opponent does hit you with Scythe, hopefully you can just end on like a Red and a Carrot and a couple hand traps in hand or on the field. Then like that'll be totally fine. But still, having Scythe in here to have as a Crossout Designator target is really nice. And if you end up just being able to set it on your field and then you can pop it with your Leela during your opponent's turn, that's awesome. So why not play Scythe in here as like the last card? Then we are playing 2 copies of the Live Twin Sunny Snitch. I really like this card just to be able to search for that appropriate extender. Like I said, if you need the Frost or if you need the Treat, you can always go ahead and search for that. depending on whichever one you need. So like, let's say you go ahead and summon out the Leela, they hit you with the Imperm, then you can just use this, search for the Frost, and now you have the extender that you need. 1 copy of Secret Password. This is going to help you to search for whatever Live Twin spell you need, because we are playing the 1 copy, the 1 additional Live Twin Home. So this card is a little bit inherently like worse than the Live Twin Sunny Snitch, but obviously activating the Sunny Snitch per turn is a once per turn, so hard once per turn. So you kind of just want to have this in here as an extra name. That way, like, you don't get bricked up like that. So having the Live Twin Home is in here just as another way to get into more extenders. The only downside is that this card locks you into Evil Twin monsters for the rest of the turn from summoning from the extra deck. So it does kind of hurt a little bit, but it is definitely worth it if your opponent is trying to slow down your plays and like they sort of take down the Spright engine and you're trying to go in for your Live Twin plays and then they hit you with some more hand traps or disruption, then you can go for the Live Twin Home and still try to recover your play. And if you're not locked into the level, rank, and link 2s, then you can still go for the rank 4 play. Then we're going on into 3 copies of Spright Starter. This is going to be able to help you to get any of your sprites out of your deck, which is really cool. The 1 copy of Smashers, and then getting on into 3 copies of Crossout Designator for our more generic cards. So we have the 3 Designator, making sure that our plays go through and just hitting a lot of like really heavy generic things. I think right now where the format's going to be developing is that a lot of people are going to be back on hand traps. This is because hand traps weren't really as impactful in this last format, where we have the Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, as well as Halka Fibrax, and all these other big things where like you hit you put a disruption in, but then eventually they can just make another big play where like the disruptions don't matter anymore. Now those big blowout cards are kind of gone, so that means that your disruptions are going to be a lot more impactful. So having the Crossout Designator in here is just nice to be able to make sure that your hand traps in here are more well-rounded and that your plays go through, and so that you can stop your opponent's plays. Then we're going to get on into our, whoops, had a little accident there. We got our 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. Droplet is just too good with the Live Twin package to not play, so if your opponent disrupts you, you can always use Forbidden Droplet. If your opponent has a board, then you're able to just send your Live Twin monster from the field to the graveyard. Then if they had used like Effect Veiler, which has to target a face-up monster, they lose their target, and now you get to get rid of one of your opponent's monster's effects, and then you still get your effects off, summon from the deck, and then you get to summon from the deck again, which is really crazy. 1 copy of Dark Ruler No More, just as another way to get around the, with Crossout Designator. I got rid of Solemn Judgment in this build, just because we're not able to put up as impressive of a board. So like if our opponent did hit us with Dark Ruler No More, obviously that hurts a lot, but having Solemn Judgment, if we were to like negate, then our opponent blows up our board, it probably wouldn't be too hard for them to burn our last 4,000 life points off. So that's why I kind of stepped away from that for this particular build. 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talents, kind of just for the same reason. Really, really good against Tier Limits, and then also just to be able to draw into more stuff. I am not playing Pot of Prosperity in this build because you are only playing the 2 engines, and the Gigantic Spright can get you into whatever engine you need. So if you are pretty heavy on the Live Twin engine, then you're able, whatever is in your opening 5 cards, then you just go into the Gigantic Spright, and then you can get your sprites out of the deck with him. So for that reason, you really don't need to play Prosperity in this build, now that we're only down to 2 engines and we're not playing the frogs anymore. So hopefully that makes sense. 1 copy of Called by the Grave, again, just to make sure our plays go through, and then 2 copies of Infinite Permanence. Unfortunately, I had to drop this down to 2. So this was a 41 card main deck. If you guys really don't like the 41 cards, you guys could drop Triple Tactics Talent, and then it's going to be a solid 40. So anyways, let's get on into the extra deck. So for the extra, we are playing the 1 copy of the Evil Twins Trouble Sunny. Obviously, just playing the 1 copy. We're not playing the brick in the deck. The Evil Twins, Kiss-a-Kill, and Leela. We're not playing that in here just because we can't afford to brick, and also because you have like the Spright Elf and whatnot to bring extra Evil Twins back to the field. If your board ends up getting totally broken, you can have this in your graveyard, bring one of the other guys back to the field with the Spright Elf, and then you can still use this Banish and Send effect, which is really good. Then going on into 2 copies of the Evil Twin Kiss-a-Kill, you want to be playing 2 of each of these, so we have the Kiss-a-Kill and the Leela. That way we have a pop. Being able to pop your own Scythe is really awesome, and then being able to draw is really good. So we have the Kiss-a-Kill for draw, we have the Kiss-a-Kill Frost to be able to draw, and then we also have our copy of Triple Tactics Talents. So there are a few nice ways to draw, especially with the Kiss Kill here. She's very, very consistent. You're going to be able to draw a whole bunch of cards, like one card every single turn, you and your opponents, which is really nice. Then we have our 2 copies of Spright Elf. Spright Elf, like I was saying, is just super duper good. You only need to play 2 cards since we're not playing Prosperity, and you definitely have like enough recursion with the Evil Twins that like if you totally lose out on both of your Spright Elves, you're still probably going to be okay if you're in like a simplified game state. 1 copy of IP Masquerena and then 1 copy of Underworld Goddess, just so we can suck up our opponent's monsters. And if we're locked into Fiends with the Live Twins, we still can go into our Underworld Goddess, which is super good. I was considering Nightmare Phoenix, but we'll get to the other card that I replaced with it because we did need a spot to replace the Totally Awesome. So we have our 2 copies of Gigantic Spright. Like I said, this is the reason why you don't need Prosperity in this build, because if you're seeing more of one of the 2 engines, like if you have a full Spright hand but you don't have any of the Evil Twins, then you can just go for Gigantic Spright eventually and get into those cards, you know, and it works better if you have more Live Twins and you're going into Sprights. But yeah, there's just tons of ways to be able to get into all of your 2 engines. Then we have our copy of Obinamaru Soul Sweeper. This is the card that I replaced Totally Awesome with. Sorry, I'll move the cards back into the camera a little bit better there. So yeah, this card, really, really solid. This card is so good because it lets you banish one of your opponent's monsters. You know, just banish them until the end of your opponent's next turn. And then also when this card gets destroyed by one of your opponent's cards, you're able to take banished cards and put them back into the deck depending on how many materials that he had. So technically what you could do is, like, if you already used up, this is a very, very niche play, but if you already used up your Evil Twins Trouble Sunny effect and your Obinamaru has like a few materials on him, he gets destroyed, you can shuffle back whatever your opponent's stuff that you want to, but you can also be able to use this to be able to bring this back to your extra deck and then reuse that effect, which is really, really crazy. That's why you kind of only need to play 1 of him. That's also a way that you could bring back some of like your crossout designator targets, like your red and stuff. If you ended up banishing them, there are still kind of ways to bring them back. It's not very plausible, but it could happen every now and then. But this card is also just super good against Tear Lament and Floowandereeze, so that's why I really, really wanted to squeeze it in here. Then we have our copy of Sky Cavalry, the copy of Downard, and then the 1 copy of Divine Double Arsenal Zeus. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for my deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was really fun to pick back up and try to lab on how to play this, especially since like they just kind of gave us that weird random hit just hitting the Ronin Totem. I don't think anybody saw that coming, but I think it was still like a pretty good solid hit. So let me know what you guys thought about this Evil Twin Spright deck profile. I would really, really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comment section how you guys are running this deck and what you guys thought about the ban list. And just again, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I would really appreciate that. Peace.